What would you call a cone at the door? देखो कौन आया है. What did the mama corn tell the baby corn? When did you pop me out? Where is popcorn? I was close. Very close. Hello and welcome back to Culture Compass. I am your host Abhishek Haval, and today we are going to dive into the heart of what makes an organization truly exceptional. It's people philosophy. From crafting unique employee experiences right from the point they're applying for an organization or till the point they're exiting. How do you make the employee life experience truly genuine? And more importantly, how does that impact business? Today we have with us Mr. Rohith Hariharan, one of the nicest human being. Someone is known for his dad jokes at Ather. And of course, he's currently running as the head of employer branding. Rohith comes with more than 16 years of work experience, right from attracting talent, retaining them, and actually building an employee life experience at Ather. Welcome aboard, Rohith.
Thank you, Abhishek. It's nice to know that dad jokes is features in the introduction. I feel that's definitely going to be something my daughter will be proud of or not. But yeah, it's nice to know that. Thank you for having me. I think among a lot of things, talking about experiences, talking about how do we build a great employer brand, or even how do we tie the values or the atmosphere a person can experience in an organization to experiences is something that I'm really excited about. So thank you for having me here.
Superb. Definitely you're going to build an apex culture at Ather.
Oh, wow. I didn't see that coming.
So on that note, let's start with the basics, the foundation. So when a lot of people end up saying, and this is a conversation that we end up hearing across social media and conversations, what is people philosophy? How do you build a people philosophy? If you can build some kind of a context for audiences, I think that would really be helpful.
See, much like a lot of things that are built grounds up, I think you have to agree on certain pillars that have to work for an organization. From Ather's standpoint, I think we looked at 4 really large pillars. Excellence, mastery, affiliation, and culture. These are the 4 pillars that we decided to do all what we wanted to do around these 4 pillars. And you must also appreciate that this is not something that when we came up with these pillars, it was from day go, we had all of these things sorted out. We understood that these are the 4 pillars, and slowly we built the organization around that. And culture was extremely important for all of us, and a shared purpose of culture was something that we were driving. And it was a part of our talent philosophy to start off with. And before I even try to even claim any responsibility for these 4 pillars, I must acknowledge that my ex-boss Sunita was the one who has driven this talent philosophy into our brains at Ather, especially the what we call the POPs team at Ather. So a lot of credit to her. But these are the 4 pillars that we have.
Absolutely agree with you, Rohith. In fact, whenever you build businesses, it is also very important for us to understand the kind of people that we work with, the kind of business that we're running, and therefore, is it aligning in the first place? With that context, if I were to ask you, if you were to make people curious about the kind of culture that they're in, what are some of the things that you would typically do or look at?
Like I said, the 4 pillars of Ather's talent philosophy. One of the larger elements, or something that is all encompassing of the other three, is culture. What is culture? Culture, at the end of the day, is how we experience a certain type of behaviors, right? For example, if I were to invite you home, the way you experience, the hospitality in my house
Yep.
would be something that what you would retain as culture. You may associate that with the region of India I am from, and you could generalize that also. So that is again an extrapolation of culture, because you have experienced my behavior in a particular way. You could extrapolate that to a lot of other examples as well. Similarly, an organization culture is a group of people, you having a certain type of behavior.
Yep.
And one of our most famous values is know your true north. And the value is know your true north. The behavior that we expect out of people is always understand the why. Again, the way we have phrased it is not saying always ask the why. It is always understand the why. Because there is a certain amount of individual responsibility also there by the individual to showcase the curiosity and then work on what they have to work on, right? So I think that is how curiosity was and has been a very important part of what we look for in people, and a part of our culture building as well.
So curiosity is something that always starts with asking yourself why.
Yes, asking yourself why, asking somebody who is asking you to do something. Not only asking, understanding the why. It could be that that person has a thought that you have not been able to appreciate. And that's where another value of ours comes into play, is which says that disagree yet commit. Sure, by you understanding, by nature of you having to understand, you have to also say that, okay, I don't know something, that person probably knows a little more. I can disagree, but I will get this done. So curiosity also, there is a certain amount of humility in curiosity.
Fair. Now speaking of why, when organizations end up crafting moments that actually matter for employees. Now, case in point, at Never Grow Up, we have a 6-month long paternity leave, but that is the kind of flexibility we can give to the people considering the size of business that we are in. However, when organizations craft moments, like for example, if it's the first day, right? If it's the recognition that people are their managers, or even if it's peers that are giving, how do organizations look at experiences from a perspective of moments that matter to employee?
At the core of it, for me, what I believe, experiences that way have probably three large pillars. One is whether you like it or not, all of these experiences are going to have a technology element to this, right? How the landing of the experience needs a technology platform, right? Either you have it or don't have it, but still there is a element of technology there in that, right?
How well integrated it is.
How well experienced it is. Integrated is a organization problem. Integrated is not the employee problem or the team member problem. It is an organization problem. Second is how well your processes are built. How well they are. How do I say? If it doesn't work in 5, it will not work at 500, right? So you cannot imagine that you will change a flat tire when the car is running, right? So processes have to be strong. And the third element of people experience is the culture part of the element, which is how do I say experience policies. The example you spoke about, paternity leave, or how do I, or as an organization, um, you want to invoke trust, but you ask, when you are applying for reimbursements, you ask three bills in duplicate, right? They don't add up. So employee experiences has to have these three solid elements, and each organization that way it will be different. But these three elements is what, in my mind, gets in a sense of employee experience.
Rohit, if I were to go to the first touch point of employee experience that a potential candidate would experience, and you're actually building extensive talent pools, and again building strategies so that they stay back and of course keep expanding. Are there any strategies that one should keep in mind while looking at it purely from an employee experience perspective?
From a building talent pools, or from a
Yes, building.
building talent pools.
Yep.
I don't have a playbook as such, but I can talk to you about what we have done. Let me talk to you about an example that we had. So very early on, I think this is what 1920. We had to visit campuses to hire software engineers. At that particular point, there was an understanding of what hardware capability the vehicle can bring in. There was a certain unlocking of software potential that was required. But there was a common problem that was available, that for one, a two-wheeler technically is a commodity that way, right? There is no innovation that has happened in the two-wheeler space in quite some time. And a lot of software engineers, when they look at innovation, it has happened in the .coms. They are scaling technology for either retail experiences or some other. Right now it is AI, but a lot of these things were where the work was happening. Nobody imagined that you could have so much of tech in a car, sure, but not on a two-wheeler, right? So and at that time we were not an all India brand as well, but we still had to go to campuses and hire. What we did, we took a truck, we packed about 8 scooters of ours. We put that in the back of the truck, and we went to a couple of colleges in Mangalore. And what we did was, each of the candidate who was interested in an opportunity with Ather, we asked them to test ride the scooter. We asked them to go around the campus, experience the scooter, and we told them some amount of the hardware that was there within the scooter. And when they came back, we gave them the data that came out of some of the sensors and the hardware that was there. And after that, we placed the problem statement in front of them and telling them that now you solve this and help us get a solution for a particular problem. And this was, again, if you look at it from an awareness standpoint, that we had to get awareness onto the college students, that what happens in a software. Why do we need software in a hardware like a scooter? So based on their results is when we shortlisted them and we were able to hire them. Right? That has evolved over time right now. We no longer have to do, because of the fact that we are a slightly larger brand right now. We don't have to explain what software is, but we still end up taking our scooters to the institutes. We ask the students to ride the scooter, experience the scooter, and one way is for them to understand the product. The other is also for them to realize that it's a lot of hands-on work at Ather. You are not going to be distant from the product. What work you work on will see the day of light, right? It is not going to be a vanity thing that gets done. So that's one way we were able to go to colleges consistently and tell them that there is a certain amount of hands-on work that is, and you are going to be a part of the original electric vehicle story at Ather, and that's and at original electric vehicle story of India, and Ather is the original electric vehicle story of India. So that's one way of us riding the message, and we did this to build that talent pool at a college level. Again, COVID was a very difficult time for all of us, and also from an organization standpoint, we had to also realize that, whether we continue to hire in the same speed or not, we will still have to engage with potential candidates. And that's what we created a platform called Vantage. Vantage as a platform was created to tell people outside of Ather that this is the kind of work we do. Sure, 2020 was a year of webinars. So we started off with webinars, and we had people come and talk about this. But that has also evolved. We are trying to see whether we can, feature in more places where people are genuinely interested in learning about how organizations are built and what kind of problems we have faced through that. So Vantage was another thing that we created.
Okay. So there is definitely an overlap between your customer experience and your employee experience. Like case in point, if there are organizations who are actually claiming that we can open your bank account in an hour, but the other spectrum, you'll need about a day or two just to get your laptop.
Sure.
That creates a huge disparity. That said, is there any endpoint or a start point to when an employee experience actually is experienced by an employee?
The earliest space, if you ask me, is the role of the job. Why am I being hired? Sure, a job description, depending on the organization's, maturity, a job description could capture a lot of this. But there is a slightly more important, it may not be a document, but slightly more important task, which is identifying the role, meaning why does the organization need this particular job? If that is the place where, as a candidate who is going to appear for an interview for this particular organization, if an individual is able to get an answer to that, the way the answer lands for me is one of the first places you understand the organization and what experiences you could potentially have up ahead. After the role which is there is a certain amount of clarity or lack of clarity. There is the job description, interview process, all of those things, onboarding, all of those things are there. But at the core of it is, why does this job exist? What problem within the organization is this job set to solve? And that, as an individual, answering that will give you a view on how experience works.
So there is one really interesting statistic that I'd like to quickly read out. Nearly 89% of Gen Z workforce uses AI to complete their professional tasks, okay? But 62% actually hide their AI usage, and 55% pretend to understand tools in meetings. In essence, the generation most comfortable with technology is also the most anxious about and being judged. Are there any challenges that you have faced, especially with Gen Zs, and the ways, and if you could share what are some of the ways in which you tackled those problems with Gen Zs? We'd love to hear some insights on that.
Sure. I was getting a little worried that we are here in a podcast about HR and we have not spoken about AI and Gen Z. So thank you. I think we have met our brief about having to talk about two extremely important tasks that are there. See, I have a slightly uber view about some of these things. One, every generation has had their levels of anxieties play in their workspace, right? Um, at some point in time, if you look at some of the earlier generations, their anxiety was to hold on to a particular job. Their need to start and retire. They needed that clarity, and lack of that clarity brought in anxiety. Uh, then there was this another side of this one was, am I doing what I studied? That was another anxiety that some of the other generations brought in. I studied biotechnology. I am doing Java J2E. Where is this connection? That is an anxiety there is. I wanted to do mechanical engineering. I did software engineering because there was a better job opportunity out there. That was another type of an anxiety. I think right now, just by virtue of some amount of general progress in the nation, uh, things like roti kapada makan are fairly manageable. Right? At least the kind of people we are talking about who are getting into the corporate sectors, for them roti kapada makan is more or less sorted out. Right? They don't have a younger siblings whose education they have to worry about, or they don't necessarily have to um, uh, send back a large portion of their earnings to uh, fuel the home. Generally, I'm sure there are people struggling, but generally this is what it is. And because of which, what is extremely important for this generation is purpose. Why am I doing this? Right? And if that does not align with my purpose, is where I will feel, what, is this even worth it? Should I be doing this? And there's an entire existential crisis around all of these things. So there is that need to align purpose with what they are doing, and that is where I feel earlier generations are finding it difficult to understand Gen Zs. A lot of places, Gen Zs are painted in a particular fashion. It is also the responsibility of the previous generations to also understand this need, where this need is coming from. Because when I turn 80, I'm going to have same amount of anxiety to learn a new technology as when my father had to pick up a new technology at the age of 60. So there will be this we have to be kind. So I feel aligning purpose, circling back to where this question is, I think aligning purpose is extremely important, and the earlier generations understanding Gen Z is a little better.
Since we are talking about generations, this is another article that I read very recently that talked about Gen Zs actually do not want to be a part of management because of the amount of pressure. They also don't see it worth it because they see their boss logging and not getting the right amount of recognition for what she they are doing. Are there any actions that organizations today need to take to make sure that in the future, because of course if Gen Zs are not picking up a management role, there is definitely going to be a talent pool crunch over a period of time. How can organizations actually sensitize Gen Zs about if you were to progress, and if more importantly, okay, beyond progress, how can an organization enable this entire process to make sure Gen Zs don't feel the way they are today about being a part of the management?
Simple answer, but the most difficult to implement is probably empowerment. Actually, a combination of two things: empowerment and collaboration. Those are the two ways. In a traditional structure, What is the role of a management individual? Their job ideally has been, I have a particular output. My team, another colleague has an output. My work output has been reviewed by my manager. My manager sends it to their manager, and through this flow, work is being reviewed, and output quality of output is being managed.
Absolutely.
Now, at a individual level, if we were to look at it, that let us break down the existence of a particular role again. Why is this role here? Okay, this role is here to build a better battery, right? I have hired Abhishek to build a better battery. Now, to build a better battery, we need a lot of elements, right? There is going to be the choice of materials. There is going to be how do we probably cool it, how do we manage it, how do we charge it. There are a lot of these different elements that come into play of building a better battery. Your purpose is to build a better battery.
Yep.
Now, in the earlier structure, it would be that you are probably responsible for, say, cell chemistry. You build better cell chemistry. Your boss reviews your cell chemistry. Your boss's boss reviews cell chemistry, and then it goes to the person who's managing all of the battery put together. Now, what could happen is, at the end of the day, the cell chemistry you are working on need not be something that is readily available, and supply chain is saying that we have nahi chalega bhai. Ye wala supply we will never be able to get. There are problems that we will not be able to get this. So your work is probably lying in a shelf somewhere there. Look at the other way, where I say collaboration and empowerment. There is this a team that comes together. We call it a swim lane at Ather. A set of people. There is a person who's working on cell chemistry. There is a person who's, say, working on how do we package this particular battery. There's a sourcing person sitting in there. There is a hardware engineering person. There's a software engineering person. All of these people come together to build a better battery. So their common goal is to build a better battery, and thereby the need for multiple reviews in the system is lost. What an expert has to do by hierarchy, what an expert has to do is to build a vision for the organization, build a vision for the kind of problems that we have to solve. And in time, I'm sure if these people experience collaboration and empowerment like this, they will reach that vision as well. So the traditional structure of manager and subordinate is, I think, is definitely being questioned, and that is for me what determines a progressive organization.
Fair. That also leads me to another question. A lot of times, employee experience is something that is misconstrued as only HR would drive. And this is a platform where we also educate our audiences about, even if you're not a part of HR, what are some of the things that you should, as a manager, look into from a perspective of building a great people philosophy, because all of these things typically fall top down, right? What are some of the recommendations or tips that you would like to give to managers out there to make sure that whatever you're building at the core, at the heart, is also being cascaded through people, which is basically the people who are actually giving experiences to people from an culture perspective?
I think if we say purpose is at the core of a lot of these things, the other side of purpose is for us to be comfortable with the fact that there will be courage demonstrated. The courage has to be demonstrated by the individual and by the people who are managing these individual contributors as well. Meaning, there will be courage shown by an individual contributor trying to ask why. Why are we doing this? What is going to be solved through this? Is this the best way for us to do this? Can't we do it in another way? And you have to have the gall to stand up and answer these, because you cannot sit down and imagine that just because I have walked the corporate earth for 15 plus years, when somebody asks me this question, my entire experience is questioned. That's not the point of the question. The question is about, is there a better way to do this, right? So there is courage being shown on the other side. There has to be courage on the manager side to also take this, right? And another part of courage is also your ability as a manager to call out when things are not happening as well as it should. Right? Much like parenting, we are. I know you also are learning parenting as much as I am also learning parenting. But much like parenting, being a manager is also about showing that courage. A lot of times, what we how do I say, what we do not decide on or what we stall gets picked up and it hurts us later. So courage is a very large portion of managerial courage, is a very large portion of an what to say, like a ammunition modern day managers need.
Fair. Now, from a very emotional, behavioral led conversation, I'd like to pivot into something that every CEO is going to ask. What is the ROI of building all of this?
And that's where I also go back to, what do you define ROI as? Now, in the day and age where startups are measured on valuation, our startups are measured on their larger impact. For example, is there an idea to build an institution? Right? I really personally enjoy Tata brands. When it was started, it was a startup, right? It was not like it started off as but they had the vision to become an institution. And I feel if you have the vision of becoming an institution, the way you look at some of these investments are not in return on investments in this year's P&L or next year's P&L. These are going to be in terms of whether it is sitting in the on the other hand of is whether it is sitting in the balance sheets and not necessarily on the P&Ls. This is an asset that you have created that will churn in more and more rather than it being a line item on your P&L. Right? So the return on investment, if it is immediate return on investment that you want, that is not brand building, that is not experience building at all. That is a expense and not an experience building at all. Absolutely. So sure, it could be very realistic that there are organizations facing this and they need to look at it in the short term. But there is a need also, when you are looking at the short term also, look at it with an idea of being long term, institutionalizing some of these things. So that's the way I would look at ROI. Long convoluted answer, but this is genuinely something that I believe in.
You genuinely nicely encapsulated the answer in a way where it might also get people to think, okay, is it the right way I'm looking at from a building and experience point of view? Okay, on that note, thank you for sharing such insights. I think the couple of things that I'm taking back definitely beyond, at least something that stuck with me was from a perspective of building experiences, organizations need to have the audacity, and even employees at the end of the day, to build a culture where people are allowed to ask why.
Yes.
Second, not everything is going to be like a cookie cutter approach or one size fits all. It has to be built with heart, just the way you shared a lot of things with heart. Um, and more importantly, look at every cohort and understand what are some of the things that people are going through in life, right? May that be from a perspective of their life cycle and therefore building those experiences to them. So if that means looking at the three pillars and looking at technology and aspect, how are people experiencing that technology?
True.
How is it landing with them? At the other spectrum, when people are coming to office, are you giving them space to collaborate? Are we giving
Very
them space where they can actually discuss ideas? And how are they being discussed and talked about internally more than externally?
How is dissent managed? How is while somebody has shown courage of asking the question why, how is disagreement managed?
Absolutely.
And perception of disagreement, how is that the fallout of that disagreement also managed?
Absolutely. And that's another thing that I'm taking back. Thank you so much for being with us.
My
here,
pleasure.
Rohith.
My pleasure,
I
Abhishek.
think it was a beautiful session. A lot of people are going to learn from it. Thank you.
My pleasure entirely. Thank you for having me. What do you call a South Indian brand that sells expensive sticks? Gucci. Kuchi in Tamil means sticks. So Gucci. My Sunita will kill you if she sees all of these things. Last one, I promise.
Yes.
What do you call a royal Chinese cameraman?
Kaching. No?
Good one. Filming.
Once again, thank you so much for watching this episode. On that note, we are signing off. But stay tuned, stay curious, and you learn more. Cheers.